Hello friends, I am Naren, your friend and your host. I am back with another video. In this video, we're gonna talk about Docker installation. At the end of this video, you are familiar with how many types of or how many way that we can install a Docker in Linux distro. So let's get started. Here we have Docker installations. Docker installation have so many types. First one is the official Docker repository, meanings Docker you can use the official Docker installation steps, and that is the steps that is highly recommended for your production server. And then second we have Ubuntu's default apt repository, meanings like you can install a Docker that comes with the Ubuntu default apt repository. We will gonna see in the demo part how you can or in the next slide we will have a script ready where you can see how all the different types of installation working. The third one, Docker convince script. Using a script, you can install the Docker, and later we can also see how which one is the good option for us. Install via Snap, and then install via Terraform. So, uh, being a being a fresh DevOps engineer, many time a beginner DevOps engineer is often get confused that which method we have to follow in order to install the Docker. So I just suggest, like, if you are a big beginner or expert, go with the official Docker installation repository. This is the recommended way to install the Docker. Rest of the things is will you may found easy, fast, and without any effort you can install the Docker, but those types of installation is not recommended for your production server, and we have a proper pros and cons of all the types. So let's talk about the different types in detail. Now, why use official Docker repository? Now, Docker official installation install Docker using official Docker repository is recommended for production. Latest stable version. If you follow this approach, you will always get the latest stable Docker version. Now, security update. As you are familiar that Docker is releasing new version of Docker with the update of the security patches. So if you are follow the official Docker repository, you are always be get the latest security update in your Docker version. And security update is really very critical when you are working on production servers, since production server is the server where you are deploy your application. So you have to make sure that all the security issues or vulnerability has been handled in the Docker installed version. That's why the security update is very important here. Now, extra tools, you will get some extra tools like Docker Compose, Docker Build extensions, something like that. Like we have Docker Build X plugin, Docker Compose plugin. These types of extra tool you will get in the latest version. Now, consistent with the Docker docs. So this installation is always consistent with the Docker doc. On the right side you can see how you can install uh, Docker using official Docker repository. So we have apt-get update. You have to run this command to update all the packages where in your Ubuntu machine. I am preparing this slide and this video based on the Ubuntu OS. So if you have a different OS, write in the comment below and let me know if you want me to make a video on the different operating system. and I will be prepare a new video on request. Okay, you can always refer the Docker official documentation for the installation if you have a different operating system, or you can also tell me in the comments so I can read your comment and record a new video on based on your requirement. And then we have to install apt install a CA certificate, and then we are also installing curl g new page lsb release, and then we have to make mdr for key rings, and then you can run this curl command with this url. This will be help to download the gpg file and putting in the keyring folder which you have created. Then you can uh, get the your operating system version string architecture and all this stuff, and then you can download the um, Docker for Ubuntu and your release version. And then you can also sudo apt get update, and then you can install the Docker CE version, Docker CE CLI containerd.io, and the extra plugin that you wanted to. Okay, so this is the way you can follow the official Docker repository. Now let's say the second types of installation is Ubuntu default apt repository, which is not recommended. It's not recommended for the production server, but if you want to install on your isolated environment or your local environment, you can go for it because it's easy but not recommended for production, right? It's a easy setup and it's very quick because you just run one or two command to install the Docker. Okay, and then why you should not use this option? Because it's an outdated version. You will not get the latest version because you are installing default apt repository. You are installing Docker from the default apt repository, so Ubuntu has to be update your Docker in order to provide the latest Docker. And as you know, Ubuntu is an operating system. You will not get new version of operating system very frequently, but whereas the Docker will publish a new version often. Missing features, of course, if you are not installing the latest version, few latest feature are not exist in the version that you installed. Slow update is very slow, as we discussed, because the one sort of Ubuntu OS is up. They have their own timeline to release the new Ubuntu version, and Docker has their own timeline to release the new version. So there is the update is very slow. And compatibility issue, of course, because if you are not installing a newer latest version, then there may be a possibility that your code or some developer write the code with the different version might get the compatibility issue in the version that you have installed. On the right side, I write this script. Is very one line script that you can install the Docker. Sudo apt get update is for the updating existing package if any update available. Sudo apt get install y docker.io. So if you are installing installing Docker from Ubuntu default apt repository, you can use the docker.io, and then it will be installed the Docker version which are associated with this default apt repository. And then we can systemctl start Docker. So we are starting the Docker. By default it will be start automatically, but we will double make sure that we will start. And then if you have a requirement to install Docker Compose, you can install the Docker Compose as well. And then we also enable the auto start on boot, meaning when your machine, let's say you shut down your machine and restart your machine, so we want to make sure when a machine is restarted, your Docker is already started together with your machine boot. And then we are also giving a local user to adding a local user in the Docker group so they can run the Docker command. Third option is a Docker convenience script, which is also not recommended option for the productions. This way You can install the Docker fast and easy, and it's also beginner friendly. You just need to be download the Docker bash file and run this bash file, and your Docker will be installed. Used official source, of course, because you are downloading the Docker from the official source, so it's always be used the official source. And it's a great fit for the automation. If you are planning to automation to install the automation, it will be great. Although all the types are perfect for the automation, since this one is the good for automation because it just have two steps, so it will be very easy very easy for the automation. What is not good is less control. Since you are running a bash script, you do not have the control what has been written for that bash script, right? So that's why I put it here. It's a less control. So if there is an issue, then it will be very hard. That is like harder to audit. If there is an issue, then it's very hard to audit and very hard to debug. On the right side, you can see you can get the latest update for your package, and make sure you always use the updated package. And then you have to download the get docker .bash.sh file from the official source, and then you can simply run the bash file or shell script in your machine. And if everything goes well, if if there is no dependency missing, then you will successfully install the Docker using the convenience script. Okay, now the fourth type is installed via snap. Now snap is like, there are kind of the package where you can use this package to install the Docker as well. So it is the easy and auto update, and it's a sandboxing, meaning it's an isolated way. So you are secure enough because it's providing the sandboxing isolation. So your Docker installing is secure, and if you use this, this will be provide more security. Cross distro, you can install in other distro, not only the Ubuntu, but you can also using the snap to install in the different distro. So it's also supporting the cross distro. Now, not maintained by Docker. This file is this installation, or this installation of Docker is not maintained by Docker. Compatibility issue, this will also bring the compatibility issue, and this way is not recommended. Remember, the snap way is not recommended for the production server. You can install on your local for just for the easy to handling. Okay, you can also automate this. This will also help to automation. Now using the Terraform, fast and easy way automation. Installing a Docker using Terraform, it will be really very handy when you are writing a Terraform script and launching the resources, and then install the Docker, so you can use the user data. There are multiple ways for using the Terraform and installing the Docker. You can using the user data and write down the Terraform official structure. Although I write down the default apt, installing a Docker from the default apt, just for the sake of simplicity. But if you are in the production, always recommended to write the official installing Docker from the official repository. Less control, of course, because the Terraform is the automation script. So you are writing the command for installing the Docker, but you do not have a control, because this script, automation script, will run automatically and you do not have the control. So that's all for the Docker typing, and now I will go to the demo session where we can try to install our Docker using a official Docker repository. Okay, so let's go to the command prompt. Here I created a repository that called YouTube Docker playlist. This repository is the repository where I publish all the Docker video, all the content that I used in the Docker video. So I encourage you guys to keep eye on this repository to get the latest update. Okay, so we can go inside here and let's open this in code. I have write a Terraform script where we are installing where we are creating a VPC, and we are also creating an instance, but we are not installing the Docker using the user data. But if you want, you can, of course, you can disable this, and then you can, uncomment this line, and it will be installed the Docker from user data. But we have the script. We are trying to run this script manually after launching the resources. So let's say we can go to the command prompt. We are here and we can go to IAS folder. That is the folder we have Terraform script. So let's say Terraform init command, and it will be initialize the backend. We use the S3 backend, so it's initialize the S3 backend and download the dependency, and then Terraform command init command is to run successfully. So let's say Terraform plan. Terraform is spelling not wrong. Terraform plan again, really is this form plan. So plan will help us to uh, give some information about the infrastructure that we are going to create. Not, it will not create the infrastructure, but this infrastructure will going to be create using the Terraform apply command. Terraform give you the information. So here you can see we are going to add 11 resources, including the VPC, public subnet, private subnet, IGW, internet gateway, route table association, and we are also fetching the AMI from the using a data resource. And then we finally creating an instance with instance name, that instance type, and we also assign the key, because later we are going to connect this instance using a private key. Okay, so and we also expose the port 22 that can help us to SSH the instance. So let's say Terraform apply auto approve. Auto approve is really great when you are, don't want to be confirming when the prompt asks to confirm. So always, if you are running this in your CI/CD pipeline, make sure that you set auto approve flag. This will be, run your script without any user prompting, or without any ask user prompt. Okay, so now we are creating the resource. When all the resource will created, our Terraform script will print the instance public IP address, and that public IP address we are going to use to connect the instance. And we are here deploying the Ubuntu instance. So Ubuntu, if you are deploying, if you are creating a Ubuntu instance, the default user is Ubuntu, and we will use the same user to connect our Ubuntu machines. So as you can see, we have an instance IP 444.203.152.149. This is the public IP address for my instance. Now you can see we also have a key that has been created. We are using this key to connect our instance. So now let's go to, let's say, clear CLS. We are clearing, and we go to the location where our key is exist. So now what we can do is SSH. We saying I'm using the git bash to connect the SSH, and then I will say key name, username that I want, Ubuntu at the rate, you have to paste the machine IP. So now it's asking the fingerprint, and I would say yes. Here it's saying type a correct yes, not the typo. So now we have connected to the machine. Okay, now so let's check whether the Docker is already installed or not. So we can go here, Docker version. It's saying Docker is not installed, and it's also showing some option as we discussed on in our PPT, that we have snap to install Docker, we have apt default repository docker.io, and even if you don't want to work on Docker, but instead of alternative option is Podman Docker. This is another company which is working as the same as like a Docker, but is a different company that providing containerization services for you to create the container. Now let's go to the our script. Here we are going to run one by one. So let's say we do not have any container exist, so we will skip this one, and then we can execute this 3 line. Let's copy, and we can run them one by one. So that's how we have done. Is asking the permission for the sudo, because Ubuntu is not a sudo user. So what we can do here, we can add the sudo here in our script. That was the missing part that we have. Let's say I'm also adding sudo here, make directory sudo, and then we can run this command again. This time it should work. Now it's working as expected. So we are updating all of our packages that we are getting default installed when we create the instance from the Ubuntu operating system. All the package has been updated, and mkdir has been created. So now let's say we can also do sudo for the curl, sudo for the echo, and then we can run this command. Let's copy this command. By the way, I will publish this code into the repository. If you are not familiar, if you are not follow along, you can get the code from the repository, and later I will also share the repository name in the description of this video, so you can have easy to access my repository. Okay, so let's run this sudo gpg command, and its gpg command fingering done success. If no error, that means it's done. So now let's try to update the repository with the with the docker install command. Repository has docker.list repository has been updated successfully, and then we can also do sudo update again. After update the repository, always do the sudo update, and then we can also do sudo, and later we can see whether it will run or without the sudo command when we are giving the Ubuntu user to when we are assign Ubuntu user in the Docker group. So let's run this command. This will update all the packages, since we have already updated. So few packages that we had added in the docker.list, it will be update those packages, and then it will be gradually start installing the Docker and all the package that is specified in the command. So now Docker has been probably um, installed successfully, I think. So let's do Docker version. So now you can see Oh, there is a typo here, so we type docker version. So now you can see we have a very latest stable version, that is 28.4. So you can, we have successfully installed the docker. So now let's install the docker compose if you need it. Okay, these steps can be skipped as per your need, and we have successfully installed the docker compose. You can verify the docker compose version by running docker compose version command. So we got the docker compose version 1.29.2. That's great. Now let's enable it on start the docker container on the boot. No error means it will be done successfully. And then we will run the final command user mode and adding our Ubuntu to run the permission denied. So meaning we have to write the sudo command here, and then now you can see docker ps permission denied, meaning you have to done sudo. Okay, that's great, but we have to run, we do not want to run the sudo command when we are running the docker. So what we are running, because when you are using sudo and you are using who am I, that means it will be written the root. So let's check first. Okay, so let's say you have this sudo and then dollar who am I. Okay, not curly bracket, but you have to be this bracket. So this will, let's say, echo, it will print. So we are in Ubuntu, right? So but Ubuntu is not added in the group. So let what we can do here, instead directly this we can say Ubuntu. Now Ubuntu has been added, so let's say docker ps a permission denied, since we do not have the permission for this file. So you can set the either set the permission for this file, or you can, let's say, it's very risky to setting the permission for this file, but let's try to do this. Sudo chmod, I will go 777 to this. Okay, now let's run this command, and now this time we can we handle the permission denied issue by setting the permission. But do not set the permission 777 because it's a bit risky. So we have successfully installed the docker in our Ubuntu machine. So this is the way how you can install the docker is official way, and that was whatever I saw in this demo, that was the recommended option to install the docker. Do not get confused. If you are doing for the testing purpose, you always use any types of the installation, doesn't really matter. But when you are working on the production, always go for the official repository. Okay, so let's destroy all the infrastructure that has been created by us. So let's say Terraform destroy, and we say auto approve, and then it will be destroy all the resources from my AWS account that has been created from the Terraform apply command. Okay, so it's refreshing state, and after its refreshing is done, it will be destroyed all the resource including the key from the local as well. So it will be, in the distraction state, it will be destroying all the resource one by one. So let's wait for a little to see our destroy action is done or not done successfully. Okay, I am sure it will be done successfully, because like once your script is working fine, you can destroy all the resources in the same way without any problem, until and unless you change the tf state file. So our destroy command has been completed successfully, and we have destroyed 11 resources that was created by us. Thank you for watching this video, and if you like my video, hit the like button and subscribe my channel and write your comment. If you have any suggestion, I encourage you to write the comment and let me know what kind of things I have to consider in order to making the video, or if you want me to make a video on a specific requirement, you can also share. I will tell you, I can also help you to record a video if you have a CI/CD pipeline problems or any other problems regarding the DevOps things. You can write your problems in the comment and I will get in touch with you. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.